Welcome to the Dealing with Goliath podcast. The mission of Dealing with Goliath is to sharpen the psychological edge in negotiation, ethical influencing, and high impact conversations for business leaders who want to be more effective under pressure, uncover hidden value, and build greater connection, all while increasing profitability. With expert guests across the business spectrum, we deliver gems of wisdom, delving into their methods, their thinking and approach to business life and to problem solving. This is the short form espresso shot of insight podcast interview to boost business performance using our 5 questions in around about 15 to 20 minutes. My guest today is Ford Saeks. Now, Ford specializes in helping organizations dominate their local markets, enhance the customer experience, and improve business success. His efforts have helped companies generate a total of over $1 billion in sales worldwide. From startups to Fortune 500s, Saeks is widely recognized as a business growth accelerator. With over 3 decades of business growth experience, ranging from retail to wholesale, he's founded 10 companies, authored 5 books, awarded 3 US patents, and received numerous industry awards. Ford, welcome to the show. Such a privilege and a pleasure to have you on.
Well, I really appreciate being on. I know when we talked in the green room before the recording here, the broadcast, you were asking me, focus this on small businesses and focus it on this. And I just want you to know that whoever's listening right now or watching this broadcast, please note that this is going to be applicable to you, whether you're new to business, whether you're thinking about getting into business, whether you're already established and mature, or whether you're a top producer in your field. So regardless of where you are, this is going to help you. But I'm going to start out by just saying it's not what you know, it's how well you execute. So even if you've heard some of the things that we talk about today in this short interview, please note that it's really about you and how you take action, not so much about me or what I've done. It's about you taking action. So there's your first tip. We'll go to the questions.
I love it. Straight into it there, Ford. And it's a key principle, actually. It is wonderful because it's quite empowering, isn't it? Because the level of action that people take is within their own power. So I love it. So let's just clarify. So who is your ideal client and what's the biggest challenge that they face? And I know it's a very broad question because you do a lot of things, but what may be a common thread there?
Well, my ideal client generally is small business owners. They're looking to do one of 4 things, but small business is defined differently by different people. So some people define small businesses, under 7 figures, some under 6 figures, some under 8 figures. So regardless of where you fall in that, my ideal client are those people that want to do 4 things, Al. They want to expand their influence. That means they want to reach more people. They want to build subscriber lists, which could be their email lists or their, YouTube subscribers or LinkedIn connections or, TikTok followers and so forth. They want to get leads, but they don't want to get just any lead. They want to get high quality leads. And then they want to get new and repeat sales. Now, what does that really boil down to? It's business growth. And so my ideal client typically is in service businesses and manufacturing and franchising, if to get more specific. I work with the franchisors to help their franchisees dominate their local markets and boost sales. But I also have attracted secondary markets from speakers, authors, trainers, consultants, and solopreneurs that maybe are trying to grow their business. And so I do work with a couple different modalities and ideal clients.
Awesome. And tell us a bit more about some of those common challenges that you help people resolve and improve.
Well, when it comes down to business growth, you really have 3 buckets. Okay. And people are strong in one of these 3 areas. And even you and your business is the same thing, right? So people are either good at delivering the product or service, which hopefully we all are. Whatever business you're in, whatever product or service you deliver, your quality and you're experienced in that. The second category that they should be strong on is marketing and sales. They need to be able to communicate the value and bridge the gap between what's in their brand and how they influence it in their local markets and in their markets that they work in globally, if so. Then they have to be skilled in operations, which is leadership and management. So you've got delivering the product, you've got marketing and sales, and you've got management and operations. Very rarely is any executive, and I work with executive groups all over the world, strong in all 3 of those. and you want to hire your weakness. So for me, I'm strong in delivering the product and service, whatever business I've had, it's always been a focus. And then marketing and sales, which is building the relationships authentically, building trust, social proof, credibility, lead capture, those types of things. But I've also had to become skilled in leadership and management, but I would rather hire that job out in my business. So if you're listening to this and you're really great at management and leadership, congratulations. Well, then you better make sure that you have hunters and farmers that are going to go out there and, go get the business. Otherwise, you can manage all day long, but if you don't sell anything, there's nothing to manage. And so you can sell all day long, but if you can't deliver the service. So those are the three buckets. And that's the first place I start with an organization, is identify where their weaknesses are in those three buckets.
Very good. And just what are some of those common mistakes that they're making when they have those gaps?
Yeah. So thank you for that clarification. The common mistakes people have right now is they don't manage their time or their energy or their focus as well as they should. They overestimate how long things take, and they underestimate what it takes to get things done. They are having challenges with staffing. So there's staffing challenges, finding, retaining, engaging, and building a strong culture to keep their staff. They have challenges with different generations in the marketplace, because there's Gen A, Gen B, Gen C, Gen X, Gen Y, traditionalists, millennials, boomer. Like, who cares, right? There's all these different labels that are thrown around. Bottom line, 8 to 80, there's people in the workforce, maybe not 8, but there's generational problems. There's supply chain issues and price issues. And now we've got all the challenges going on in the economy with the political landscape and what's going on in the world today. And so there's a lot of fear and uncertainty in consolidation. And then, of course, there's disruptors like ChatGPT and AI. And so again, if you're listening to this program right now, you're going, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff going on. But look, you don't want to participate in the drama, but you do need to identify what the challenges are. So you've got challenges related to the three buckets: the operational challenges, delivering quality products and dealing with the increased competition and price issues. And then you've got the management and sales. And what I've found, no matter big brands and small brands all across the world that I work with, and I work with all different types of businesses, I found that the problem always comes down to one of three things: mindset, strategy, or tactic. First, mindset. All the strategies and tactics in the world won't help somebody if they don't have the proper mindset. Do they have their mindset dialed in, and do they need to work on that area of their life or business or team? Once they have the mindset dialed in and they're focused, then it's okay, what strategies? Where are we going to go? What's our mission, vision, core values? What's our North Star? What are conditions of satisfaction? How are we going to succeed? Once those two buckets are done, what do we do on a Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.? What do we do tactically to actually get it done? And so, I think a lot of times, and I'll wrap it up with this, I think people make it too hard. They want to make it overcomplicated. And at the end of the day, if you want to make more money, you have to add more value. So the first question to ask is, how do I add more value? And I'm speaking to myself just as much as anybody else. I mean, if I don't have what I need, or if I'm complaining about sales, I have to step back and go, well, how many sales calls did I make this week? How many outreaches did I make? How many relationships? How many interviews did I do? How many, what did I do to actually advance my business?
Excellent. I love that, again, that you're asking those questions that really engage where your autonomy is, where your locus of control, the things that you can do. Not how many sales you made, but how many outreach you did, or how many conversations you had. Excellent stuff. So what might be one valuable free key action that the audience could take, that they could implement, that would help them maybe not solve the problem, but at least turn to the right trajectory? And you've given a few tips already there, but what might be the thought that could best help these people?
Well, there's so many, so I'll just say that. And so I'm going to answer the tip with a quick background of why I'm answering the tip the way I am. So I have two businesses. I have I'm a Hall of Fame keynote speaker. I travel around the world and do presentations on stages and help audiences, accelerate their performance. Then I also have an agency. So when I go out and speak, people learn what I do, and then they're like, okay, we don't want to do it. We want to pay somebody. So I have a brick and mortar business with employees and staff, and we do video production, digital marketing, and funnels and all that kind of thing. All right. So that's the basis of it. So what is one thing that someone can do, regardless of what business and who's listening or who your listener is? Start a success library. You can do this yourself. Decide what area, do it, take an inventory of the top skill sets that you need for every position in your company, or you need if you're a solopreneur, maybe you sell insurance or real estate, or you're just a consultant or whatever. But make a list of all the top skill sets you need, and then score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 and how effective you feel you are. And then wherever you score, that shows you where the gap in performance is. Then ask yourself, what do you need to know, do, and learn and do so that you can improve those skills, or do you want to hire it? But start with a success library, because I really believe that if there was one foundational thing, it's really that mindset piece, which is a success library is nothing more than a folder on your computer. Maybe you've saved blogs, or you've bookmarked websites, or you've gone to Amazon, and I know you asked for something for free, but maybe there's some resources on Amazon that you want to get, or go to your local library. But there's no shortage of information. I mean, you can go to TikTok and YouTube right now, and TikTok is actually becoming one of the world's largest search engines, even though a lot of people there's a lot of differences in that. And I'm not here to be political. I'm just saying there's data. So you can find the answers. So I think the biggest thing is stop being a victim and create a success library. Look at the areas of your life that you want to improve, and then think big, but think small and take action. And I'm packing a lot into this because I just want to make sure that this is an episode you're probably going to go back and want to listen to more than once. But it really is about having a bigger vision, but then you have to break it down into baby steps. Otherwise, you can have your dream board, you can have your prosperity map, you can have your vision board, and you can put all these things on it that you want to do, have, and be. But nothing happens until you break it down to, okay, today's Wednesday, today's Thursday, today's Friday. What are we going to do today to actually take action?
I love it. It's a fantastic.
I know you only asked for one thing, but I deliver more than you asked.
Absolutely, over delivering. Outstanding stuff. In regards to that, what were some of the pinnacle learnings you had in your journey to where you are? I know, again, I'm sure there were loads, but there's often a few that particularly stand out in regards to those lessons that you're now suggesting to other people.
Yeah, the biggest lesson, quickly, I'll do a shorter answer for this one. The quickest one was I was 15 years old, sitting in a jail cell, 6 foot by 8 foot, thinking maybe I haven't made the best life choices. I grew up in foster care, detention centers, and I was just kind of a bad punk kid. And one of the guards gave me a cassette program from Earl Nightingale called The Strangest Secret. And so for those of you that don't know what a cassette is, if you're a millennial, Google it. But it was like an audio. You could put headphones on that were actually wired. You had to carry it around with you. They weren't wireless. And I listened to it, and it really changed my life, Al, because it gave me an idea. It put new ideas in my brain that instead of focusing on all the things that were wrong in my life and my parents and the chip on my shoulder and all those other things, that I could apply my energy to other things, to what I could control. And that changed my life. So that was the most significant thing was, success leaves clues. And since then, I've been on a constant journey of personal growth and development for the last, 50 years. And what I would say to somebody is, if you've heard these before, it's things because I've read thousands of books and listened to thousands of audio programs and gone to dozens of conferences and seminars and put my own ones on and done interviews with hundreds of people. And so if, the scariest people to me, Al, are the ones who think they know everything, but don't know what they don't know. And they think they have it all figured out, or they see someone else doing something that they think they should be doing and they get jealous. I mean, it happens to me too. I mean, some of my speaker buddies, they'll get a booking that I won't get, or I'll see them on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh man, I should have been able to, but then I just have to remember, if I ever feel that way, I remember, first of all, I'm not envious of them in a negative way. I just know that they represent the thoughts and the feelings that I failed to act on. They took action and I didn't. So, at the end of the day, it's up to me to be successful, and it's up to all your listeners and viewers to be successful.
Absolutely. I love that you're seeing it as a signpost of maybe you went one direction, they went another, or you made a certain series.
Or they made the call, or they wrote the book, or they did the outreach, or they put themselves out there, and it's about focus. And I think the biggest challenge for me as an entrepreneur is I see opportunity everywhere. So I tend to take on way too many projects that I should, because I can see the opportunity. Like if you called me and said, "Hey, we're going to do this summit and we're going to talk to leaders," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm in. What date is it?" It's like, well, that's great, but what about the 72 other things that I've already committed to? And so, for me, it's focus. I've got to hire smart people. I've got to have mastermind people that can call me on my crap. Hopefully I can say crap on your show. By the way,
say whatever you like, my show.
If you like this show, thank Al. If you don't like it, blame me, because he has no control over my sound effects, because I'm pushing the buttons. He has no control of what I'm going to say. Yeah. So just know that all of this is on me, everybody. So if you like it, thank him. If you don't, you see my name on the screen, you can just touch base with me later.
Outstanding. So what's one question I should have asked you that would be of great value to our audience? I know you've covered a huge amount for us already. As you said, we'll be listening back to this numerous times to get all the gems that you've given us. But is there anything else that you particularly feel that if we understood, or if at least had us planting that seed in the back of our head, would be of huge value?
Yes, I think right now, in the climate we live in, I would want to say you need to be cautious of the disruption that's coming, not only with the dollar in the United States, the political factor, but more importantly, the sentient beings and aliens which AI is going to create. Now, I'm not a doom and gloom guy. I'm not a sci-fi guy. I'm not one of those, bunker preppers thinking the world's going to come to the end. But I would say that right now, there's going to be, if we told you that aliens were going to land in 6 months and, take over the world, there would probably be some more time. But I think what I've seen with AI and machine learning and what it's doing, and I use it in my business. I use, ChatGPT, and I've got Jasper and Quillbot and a dozen other programs that I use. I use Udly for AI, for speech coaching. So there's a lot of different things, but I would say it's going to disrupt so many things in the next 6 months to 2 years. Fast. This isn't something that's going to be 3-5 years down the road. I'm talking 90 days, 60 days. It's going to accelerate so quickly. And I think that as business owners, it's important to pay attention to the landscape and more important, not fear, in a fear-based way, but to look at how that's going to impact. How could that impact your employees? How could that impact the customer relationship? How's that going to impact, communication? I really think that it's going to be one of the biggest disruptors that we've ever seen. And I'm old enough to live through, color TV and, the internet and social media and Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Vine. I mean, I could name programs for years. All of that's going to look like nothing compared to what is happening right now. So that's what I would say at this point. Now, a year ago, I would have said something completely different.
Well, there you go. Exactly. I mean, this is fascinating because I watched your LinkedIn Live on this, and you had just one sentence that I think sums up so much, both in terms of opportunity and how to adapt. And it's, if I remember, forgive me if I misquote you here, but it was just so beautiful. It was, AI will not replace humans. AI will replace humans that don't use AI, so that it can be our ally. And if we're not allying with it and helping us in our work, in our task, or with our vision, whatever it is we're trying to do and whatever we're trying to deliver, that then we're in trouble because we're against other humans using AI.
Yeah, and I think I'd even, and that was back in January, and now I would even adapt it to say it's going to be a new species. It's going to have, I don't know how, I'm just saying, I used to think of it as a tool, treat it as an intern, but now my view has changed because of my involvement in the things that I'm, watching. I think it's actually going to become, I use the word species probably incorrectly, but I do believe it's going to have an entity of itself, and it's going to be an entity. It's going to have its own entity, and it doesn't care. It doesn't think like us. So I'm hoping that it's not Terminator, and I don't think it's that kind of thing. No. I really don't. Who knows? But no one really knows. But I absolutely believe it's going to impact our technology in any piece of technology that we have, and it's accelerating at such a rapid rate. And anybody who tells you they know what's going to happen is just full of poo-poo, because there's no way of knowing. So when you ask me what's the one thing, I'd say pay attention to what's going on, and start thinking about how is that going to impact me 6 months down the road. And I wouldn't say 5 years. I'd say 6 months.
Oh, absolutely. I had a conversation with my software engineer cousin there last week, and he said they've started using ChatGPT or its offshoots for code, because it's just another language.
Yeah, my web developer uses it for code.
But his productivity has jumped 40% almost overnight, because things that used to take several days now take 40 minutes.
I used it for Excel formulas the other day. I used it to write a consulting contract. I used it for an HR issue. I used it for a customer experience issue. I had a high-end consulting client that I had some challenges with, and I didn't know how to word the letter, and I asked, and it wrote the letter. I showed my web developer how to use it, and at first he said it was cheating, and I'm like, did you drive a car? Did you cook your own food? I mean, it's it's a tool, machines. But so right now, we're all excited because it can write code and it can do things. I think it's going to get to the point where we either have devices or something implanted with us where we can tap into it. I'm looking at how is this going to evolve and how quickly, and I see it. I see the ChatGPT and the things that we're doing right now with AI being like one letter in an alphabet as opposed to a composer. I think that what we think is really cool. It's like, I remember, and I know your show I'm going long, everybody, so tough. You just deal with it.
Go for it.
But I remember when computers first came out, and I had a Commodore 64 and Amiga 1000, and actually it was a VIC 20, which is what I started with, the very first one. And I remember pushing a key on a keyboard and watching the key on that little green screen, because it was all DOS back then. And I remember thinking, that is so cool. And I remember making a picture with characters on my keypad, in rows and rows, and it took me like 3 hours, and I was so impressed by it. And that's where we are right now with ChatGPT compared to the computing factor. I've got an iWatch on, I've got an iPhone, we've got all this technology around. I'm using a 4K camera. I've got multiple cameras in my office. That's not the right view. So webcam. So yeah, I just think that the action steps for everybody is, if you're not using it now, you need to start using it just so you can be consciously aware of how it's going to impact your business. Absolutely. And look, the other side of the coin, of course, is it's as dumb as it's ever going to be again right now. It's only going to get brighter and brighter. ChatGPT 4 is a whole different level of possibilities, and it's all going to improve and improve. I think what the good news is, I'm gonna say one more thing as you go. I think one of the good news things is, I believe it's going to make the personal interaction more valuable. Absolutely. It's gonna make, so for me, as a keynote speaker, as an expert, it's going to make those personal in place more valuable, because you can clone pictures, you can clone your voice. I have a book, and my marketing director, I launched my new superpower book. It's on Amazon. So those of you who want to do something as an action step, go to Amazon and type in superpower Saeks. It's a great book, but yes, you have to pay for it. It's not free. It's on Amazon. It's only a few dollars. It's worth. Yeah, it's not much. Exactly. But I need to do the audiobook. And so I was like, I'm planning my weekend. I'm like, I'm going to go record the audiobook this weekend. And my marketing director, who's 27, said, well, why don't you just go on AI and see if there's an AI voice service? And there is now, where I could record my voice. It's called voice cloning. I can read a bunch of things into voice cloning, and then it can read my book. And I'm like, holy crap! As you, though, it's not just someone, right? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna. And for those out there, if you get my Audible book, it will be me reading it. But I just thought, just think of how disruptive that is. That's mental. I mean, could you get it to read it as Humphrey Bogart or something? Or well, that's the thing. You absolutely can use it. You can use it. You can have it read other people. You can get the voice actor. Like I have a program called Synthesia, which allows you. And again, any program we're mentioning on this podcast, this is for educational, informational purposes only. These are not affiliate links. So you cannot call the FTC and give Al or me crap about these links. Yeah, but yeah, so the voiceovers, you can do that now. and you can do video voiceover. So I use a program called Synthesia. There's others out there where I can upload a script, pick an avatar, and it makes my videos for me. I use it for short form videos on how to things around my business that I don't want for authority. Like, and I'm not using it for me, but there are speakers that are actually cloning themselves that are doing it for short form videos. And I'm like, you know what?
Wow.
I'm just going to do the video myself. I think it's going to make the authenticity of in person be that much more valuable. So while ChatGPT is going to replace anything that's repetitive, anything that you do is repetitive, AI is going to take over. I don't care. It's going to take over. And it's going to make those personal interactions even that much more valuable.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, this is exactly it, being able to build human rapport, build that connection, but also be there in person, fielding questions live. That's where it's going to be irreplaceable. That's as you said, the value of that will skyrocket.
Yeah, I really believe. At least, I've been wrong before, but I think that's where, I think people are going to crave going back. My wife's a Pilates instructor at centerworks.com, and she has her own studio and things. And I told her that she should do retreats called the disconnected retreat, where there's no electronics, there's nothing. And I know other people have done this, so this isn't like a brand new idea. But I really think that people are going to crave disconnecting. I walked across Costa Rica with my wife. It was called the El Camino, and it was from the Caribbean coast to the Pacific coast. And it was 186 miles through the jungle. And most of the time we didn't have cell service. The first 5 days I was going through withdrawal. I'm like, oh God, but I need my phone. I need an email. After the 5th day of no technology, it was amazing how much different I felt. And I just think that our culture, we've gotten so ingrained, and I'm a technology guy. I have tons of technology in my car and my vehicles and around me. But I just think that there's a lot of disruption coming, and I'm not sure where it's going to go. I'm excited because I choose to be. Some people are scared crapless, and they're like, oh, the world's going to come to an end. Well, if it does, it does. Like, I'm not going to, if Russia sends a nuke, I'm going to go put my sunglasses on and, move on to whatever's next. I'm not going to, I know I don't want to get political here, so don't want to give anybody hate mail. I don't want to participate in things that I can't control.
Sure.
That's all.
And I love the attitude, and you're dead right. I think, who was it that said that most of human suffering is caused because we can't sit in a room alone together without wanting distraction for more than 5 minutes? A lot of people,
look at
maybe
a restaurant.
30 seconds,
Look at a restaurant.
Absolutely, people on their phones in front of each other. You're like, have a conversation. The one thing if you're checking, the score or something, but it's another thing if you're just trying to distract yourself.
Well, it's conditioned. It's for me, I call it learned ADHD. Exactly. I used to try to do two different things while people came in and talked to me and my staff. And I've gotten to where, I even like the episode you were talking about, my episode with Hillary the other day on LinkedIn, which, sorry, everybody, the bandwidth sucked. But
absolutely. But everyone, Hillary Blair, look it up. Unlocking the Power of Clear Communication.
On LinkedIn,
Hillary
just go to YouTube, go to Fortify, Fordify, fortify.tv or YouTube, just Google my name. But one of the things that we were talking about is
present. How
valuable communication is and how hard it is for people to just actually be present and communicate. And I think that it's going to take another generation. I think we have, I think, and I'm not going to call it the lost generation, but I think it's going to take like 10 years. In 10 years, I think we're going to go through a completely different cycle of how we communicate. I just think right now it's kind of like crazy, but I think that in 10 years, it'll be completely different.
I think you're right. I think it's the parallel of the photograph. When photography came in the 1870s,
right?
Every artist was freaking out. Oh, painting's dead. The photograph can do everything better. Then a group of painters said, no. Now we're free to do what painting does best. And isn't it interesting that photographs, even when they're highly valuable, because they're a multiple, are less valuable than a once-off painting? It's the same idea, similar parallels potentially. But again, it's about that generations dealing with this new technology, working out how they're going to integrate with it, how they're going to live with it or enjoy it, and then moving from there. So fascinating stuff. But as you said, it's about having that presence, which is absolutely key. And thank you for being so present and so focused and giving us so many gems on the show today. Thank you so much for it.
Well, thank you.
Before we finish,
I have to give my own applause, everybody. That's my applause. Okay, there we go.
Before we finish, first of all, everybody, linkedin.com/forward/Saeks. That's FORDSAEKS, and profitrichresults.com. Check Ford out. Is there anywhere else where you'd like to direct our audience's attention?
If your listeners want to connect with me on LinkedIn. Put a note. Hey, I listened to you on L's show, and put the name of the show in there and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always looking for good connections. If you're trying to sell me something right off the bat, I probably won't, accept the connection.
Don't be that guy on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I don't know how, and I don't want to start a whole nother episode, but I just have to wonder. There's no way that works.
Who does that? Anyway.
But I just connect with me. You can visit me online, watch the show, subscribe. I have a podcast called The Business Growth Show. I go live on Wednesdays on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook on The Business Growth Show on Fortify Live. So if you're following me on LinkedIn, you'll get notices of when I'm going live.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Ford.
All right. Thanks so much.